Saturday morning session. We will continue on our topic on stress management. In our first two sessions, we talked about certain issues, and particularly those issues which are can be handled on transient basis, on temporary basis, that you can address mental stress not in a fundamental way, but in a way which is transient, which is ad hoc, and which can give you temporary relief. Now, today we will talk about the fundamental methods, how to address mental stress in a really fundamental way, which will reduce your stress or perhaps eliminate your stress for all time to come. And this will obviously, require us to go into some of our spiritual writings to look at some of the profound wisdom left by our ancestors. So let us start with the first few things which I wanted to explain before we go into the specific, methods of addressing this issue. I wanted to explain a word which is a Sanskrit word which is called bhav. Bhav means to be. It's like being. It's like to be. And this is a very profound word because as soon as a person comes into this world, the bhav, his existence is felt, and because we are living beings, there is bhav. The word bhav comes out of bhav. You have certain feelings, certain sentiments, certain internal commotions, vibrations, which is called bhav. Now, bhav is inherent into bhav. As soon as you are born, you will have bhav. Without bhav, there is no bhav. So bhav and bhav are very, closely connected. Bhav comes out of bhav, but at the same time, without bhav, there is no bhav. Now, swabhav. Swabhav is also the expansion of the same thing. Swa means swayam, myself, and bhav means my innate, what you call innate beingness. I'm existent. My innate existence is bhav, swabhav. Now, there's another word which is very, closely related to bhav is bhay. Bhay is that bhav is not the bhav is not complete. That is bhay. That you have some kind of fear in your innate existence. You don't trust yourself fully. That is why the fear comes. And that is why this word bhay originates from bhav. So it is bhav, bhav, bhay, swabhav. We have many other words coming from bhav. For example, sambhav. For example, sambhav, asambhav. There are many words coming from the Sanskrit root. But basically, this means that your innate nature, that is bhav, your existence is bhav. And these are two very important words we should know. And bhay means you are not having complete faith in your bhav, in your very existence. And that is why the bhay comes into the play. The fear comes into the play. Now we will see what is the cause of our stress in a fundamental way. We have discussed that in our previous session, but we will go into the root causes, the really fundamental causes, 2-3 of them. The first cause is bhay, the fear. The fear is the cause of stress. The fear comes because we are not sure what is going to happen tomorrow. It is linked to the future. When we think of tomorrow, the fear comes into play. Okay, what will happen to my health tomorrow? what will happen to my family tomorrow, whether my son will be well settled tomorrow or not. So these are kind of fears which are, inherent in human life. In day-to-day life, we have many, many fears. And all those fears are linked with the future. They are not linked with the present. That is one part. Some of the fears are linked with the past, because in the past we had a bad experience in a similar situation, and therefore we continue to remember those bad experiences, and they give rise to the fears for the future. So fear is one of the most important reasons for mental stress. If you analyze your own personal life, you will find that every time, whenever you have some fear, whether it's a fear of wealth, fear of livelihood tomorrow, fear of employment, fear of health, fear of relationships, or fear of your neighborhood, your society, all these fears, they manifest in a variety of ways, and they give rise to mental stress. Each fear gives rise to mental stress. So this is one of the very fundamental reasons of mental stress. And this fear is linked with the future, to some extent with the past based on experience, but primarily linked to the future. That future is uncertain, what is going to happen tomorrow. So this is one fundamental reason we should remember. Second reason is the gap between our expectations and the realities. For example, you are expecting a promotion in your job, but you do not get that promotion because of some reasons, because things are always decided by somebody else for you in those situations. And therefore, you develop stress. Okay, I deserve this promotion. I didn't get, you develop a kind of stress. These stresses can happen because of the gap between your expectation and reality in a variety of ways. For example, you invest in a stock market after doing all the analysis of variety of stocks and debts, and then the stocks in which you invested do not perform as per your wish. Obviously, you will have stress. And somebody else who did not do that proper analysis and invested, and he got better returns, you feel very much stressed. That can happen. Stress can happen. For example, you expect certain things from your son. He will respect me like this, or once he starts earning, he will look after me, or he will offer me this. It may not happen, and that can become cause of stress. You expect certain things from your relatives, from your wife, and from your friends. It may not happen as per your expectations, and that will cause stress. So that can become the cause of stress. So gap between expectations and the reality or the outcome can cause stress. The third fundamental cause of stress is the desire. Actually, desire is the mother cause of many things. If we have, the mind is chanchal. The nature of mind is all the time asking for more and more. That is one part. And secondly, causing doubts everywhere. Two characteristics of mind. मन की ये दो बहुत विशेष अवस्थाएं हैं. That is, first is all the time asking for more, and secondly, causing doubts everywhere, causing duality in the whole concept of thinking. So the first thing is to have desire. For example, you have 100 rupees today. Oh, 100 is not enough, I should have 1,000 rupees. So he works for that 1,000. The desire becomes cause of his stress, and then he starts working for that. Then somebody has a motorbike today, then he wants to have a car, then obviously it will become a stress. So how I earn, and that stress will cause a lot of problem, what kind of methods he can, adopt to acquire a car. Now somebody wants to have, a beautiful lady for himself. Now he will have stress why, how he can have that. So all these things, all these desires, the desire for wealth, the desire for power, the desire for prestige in the society, the desire for sexual desires, all these four fundamental nature of desires, they lead to stress. The more you have the desires, the more stress you will have. So these are three fundamental regions, plus ego comes into play. Ego is another region for stress. Ego is very subtle and it gets hurt. For example, you are entering your office in the morning. The receptionist doesn't say you good morning, sir, and your ego is hurt and you feel bad about this. The day begins in a very negative, stressed way. Similarly, you come home, your wife is not there to welcome you, and you feel totally stressed. What is this? I have come after hard work and there's nobody to open the door, and you get stressed, and all this thing happen. So the ego is a very subtle thing. It hurts, and it hurts in such a subtle way that you feel stressed immediately, and internal vibrations start working on you as soon as the ego is hurt. So these are the four fundamental causes of stress. The other causes, the transient causes, we discussed in our earlier section, but today we are talking about these fundamental causes. Now, all these causes which we talked about, they are external causes. Whether it is wealth, whether it is power, whether it is relationship, whether it is, something to do with society, all these are external factors. Your expectations and reality is also external factor. So all the causes of your stress, they come from outside. They are not coming from inside. Your inside actually is affected because of the things which are happening outside. So this is one factor we have to recognize, that the causes are external. They are not coming from within yourself. The second factor is that all these causes of stress are either rooted in the past or rooted in the future. They are not in the present. Present does not cause you stress. Stress is caused either by the past experiences, which cause fear for the future events, or the future expectations, or the future things which do not happen as you want them to happen. So these are the fundamental causes of stress. Now, how do we address these? Now, we will discuss 3-4 methods which are actually the fundamental methods to address causes of all stress. You will have no stress if you can use even one of those methods. And all of these methods are mentioned in great detail in our scriptures, whether they are Upanishads, whether they are, that is Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavad Puran, or other writings like Patanjali Yoga Sutra. All these have been mentioned directly and indirectly in great detail. So let us go to the first important method which we can use. But before I go, let me also expand a little bit on the duality which is caused by the mind. So that is very important as well. Whenever you do something, you decide something, your mind will say, oh, this is good, but maybe somebody will react like this, somebody may not react like this. Like, for example, the agitation of the farmers is going on. Now the government offers a proposal. The farmers will say, if we accept, oh, this would be our defeat, this is what happened. If we don't accept, we will be isolated, what happens? When you go, for example, to a party, you are supposed to take a gift. You buy a gift. Oh, this gift may not be appreciated. This may not be enough. What will happen? So while you have taken a decision, the mind also simultaneously creates another dual feeling, in fact, negating the decision you have taken. And that is dvand. That is what we call duality. It creates doubt in your mind that whether it is correct or not correct. And that duality is a reality so long as mind is there in our existence. Because that is the very nature of mind. Mind creates duality, minds create desires. These are the two fundamental qualities of mind. So this duality side we should also understand when we think about the methods we are talking about now. So now let me go down to the methods one by one. The first fundamental method which can address all the stress entirely without any trace of stress is to remove your own self. In Sanskrit we can say kartapan ka abhav. Kartapan, you yourself remove yourself that you are the doer. And this has a fundamental reason. Once you are not the doer, there is no reason for you to take the responsibility. The responsibility you are taking because you are presuming that you are the doer. If you are not the doer, there is no reason for you to take the responsibility. For example, the government of today has to take a decision on the issue concerning farmers' problems. Now, I'm not associated with that, so I'm free. I don't have to have a stress on that issue. The stress is with the government because the government has the responsibility. Now you take the responsibility for the well-being of your son or for his employment. So whatever he does, you will be affected. Whatever is the outcome, you will be affected. But if you leave that responsibility to him, that okay, now you decide what you want to do. It is ultimately your interest, your responsibility. You have to take a decision because you have to decide on your own life. Now you are out of the picture. Whatever he does, whatever he chooses, your stress is gone. Like, there are instances in everybody's personal life when your son or daughter wants to marry XYZ. You do not allow that freely because you want to have your own say that the wife should be like this or husband should be like this, or this family is not good and they are not rich enough, or they are having this problem, that problem. Then you start taking the responsibility and you develop stress. If you leave it to your son or daughter completely, you will have no stress. Okay, whatever you decide, it's fine for me. So just saying is not enough. You have to be honest with yourself that you are not taking the responsibility. That honesty is very important. Though we say, okay, let him decide, but internally we feel, oh, अगर ऐसा कर लेता तो ज़्यादा अच्छा होता, मेरी सुन लेता तो ज़्यादा अच्छा होता. That is what ultimately comes in our mind sooner or later. So we have to disengage ourselves as doer. Now, why should we do that? Think all the important things in this life, you are not the doer. First of all, before you came into this world, the world was perfectly running. Nobody was missing you here. And once you leave this world, the world will still run perfectly. Nobody will miss you here. Then you came into this world. You did not decide on it. Somebody else decided for that. You put it you in the world and you came over here. So you are not even the deciding whether you should come into this world or not. And you are taking responsibilities. Look at this magnificent structure which we have. We have wonderful eyes, we can see, we have ears, we have this mind, we have this body, which no scientist can ever understand how it functions. All the doctors, millions of them, have analyzed this body. They have not understood its functioning. They can't even cure it. Even small ailments cannot be cured by the doctors who have spent lifetime on understanding this. Now, this body has been created by somebody. It has come into existence because of somebody. So somebody is far more intelligent than I am, who has put me into this world, who has given me all this body and all these faculties, the faculties which are fabulous. There's nothing better than the human body in this whole existence. There's no technology, there's no science, there's no invention which can, compare with the miracle the human body is. Now somebody has created this body, has put us into this existence. Somebody has created these millions of different varieties, species of life. And you see the ant, and you see the elephant, and you see a snake, and you see a bird, and you see, a cow, and you see a buffalo, and you see a horse. And there are millions and millions of life forms have been created. Have we done anything to do that? Have we contributed anything? We have contributed nothing. Then the air we breathe, have we created that air? No, it has been created for us. And who breathes? We are not even knowing when we are breathing in and out. It's keep breathing in and out. It's going on. Somebody is, done it for us. Yeah? Who digests your food when you are, somebody sitting, some intelligent force sitting inside, digests your food, converts into various body parts. It's converted into blood and bones and flesh and, neurons and all kinds of things. How that happens? It is a system which has been created. What is our contribution in that? Nothing. Even when we are sleeping, the food is digesting, the blood is running, and your, all your systems inside the body are functioning. Do you do anything to do that? We don't do anything. And look at the larger system. The sun rises in the morning, the life begins with that. Sets in the evening, life ends with that, and people sleep. Look at the whole system, the universe, the stars, the moon. Have we done anything to do them? Even look at our own food and water. Have we created water for ourselves? No. It has been created for us. The food which we eat, we presume that we are doing it, but the seed which is done has been created. The soil in which it is sown, the air it requires, the water it requires, the sunlight it requires for photosynthesis, all that has been created here. So what have we done? We have done nothing. We are just playing our role. We have been put into this theater, in this world which is theater, and we are playing our role, and therefore taking on the responsibilities on ourselves has no meaning. Why should we take on the responsibility? Because we are only a small little cog. There's a larger forces, more intelligent forces. The whole existence is working fantastically in a very, very precise manner, mathematically, which obviously there's some force behind it. So why do we take responsibility? Let us leave that responsibility to that big force, that intelligent force, that super intelligent force, whom we call Poon Mother, Poon Midam. Let's leave that force to that Poon. He will take care of that. So I think that is the first and fundamental remedy for stress. We can not only reduce but completely eliminate the entire stress if we are able to remove our responsibility as doer. That we are not the karta, we are not the doer. This is one which has been explained in a variety of ways in many of our scriptures, and I would like to quote one or two, but maybe at the end. So this is one factor, if we can think it seriously, that we are not the doer in this world. We did not decide to come here. We were thrown here. We were put into this theater. We did not decide who will be our father, who will be our mother, what will be our family, which will be my country, what will be my language, what will be my height, what will be the color of my eyes, what will be my age, what will be the type of my sound. We did not decide any of those things. It has all been done for us. So why are we taking on responsibility that I am the doer? The family is running because of me. No. The family has its own rhythm, it's running. You are only a small little cog in the entire process. You have been put into that theater. So this is one thing which we should try and think and remove the responsibility of doer. Once we are able to do that, you will be completely stress-free. You will have no stress at all. I can assure you on that. But do it honestly, not only saying, do it honestly internally. You have to convince yourself. There will be a long debate between yourself and your own self, actually, your outer self and in self. There will be debate. It will come back and back. I have passed through that debate, so I'm telling you. It will come back, oh, no, this is this is not my responsibility. I have played no role. I'm completely out. I do my duty and that's the end of it. What I'm told to do, I do. I perform like you go to a theater, you are performing the role of Lakshman, for example, in the Ramlila. Now you are doing that role. You are not creating the Ramlila. You are not the Lakshman. You are just playing that role. The theater has been created, the play has been created, somebody is staging that play, and you have been given a role of Lakshman. You memorize what he is supposed to say, and you do it. The same thing we do in life. We have been given a role. We have been given a role as a father, as husband, as a son, as neighbor. We perform that role without being taking on ourselves the role of the doer. We are not the doer. We are just performing. We have been given that task and we are performing that role. So I think this is one of the very fundamental things which, if we can address in our lives, all stress will go away immediately. There is no trace of stress after that. The second thing, if we cannot remove ourselves as doer completely, then the second thing comes into play. The second thing is niskam karma. You do your duty, but don't act. You should presume that you are not controlling the results, and the results are decided by the samasti. There are many factors which work in deciding the results. Let me give you an example. I saw somebody, meeting an accident the other day. Now everybody drives carefully. They want to, don't want to have accident. But there are a variety of factors. There are other people who are not driving as per your expectations. There are routes which are complicated. There are human beings which are walking. There are bicyclists. There are two-wheelers. There are all kinds of things coming on the way. Sometimes the traffic light is deceptive. All these things can happen, and something can play a role. भार्गव साहब, आप अपना माइक्रोफोन ऑफ कर दें. So this is how the things can, affect you. The things can affect you because the results are decided by samasti, not by vyakti. We are vyakti. We are only one single person. Vyakti and samasti. Samasti decides the outcome. Vyakti does the work. So we should have what we call niskam karma. We do our duty without expecting any outcome of it. The outcome will be decided, it will come, it will definitely come, but you are not deciding it, and therefore you should disengage from the outcome. As soon as you disengage from the outcome, your stress will be gone, because your stress is linked with the outcome. All the stress is linked with the outcome. You had some expectations. The reality of outcome is less, and therefore the stress is there. भार्गव साहब, आप अपना माइक्रोफोन म्यूट कर दें।
सर ये इस सिस्टम में कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा है, वो मैं बहुत कोशिश कर रहा हूँ।
अच्छा अच्छा, कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं। ओके, सो नाउ
नॉइज बस मत होने दीजिए, इतनी कोशिश करिए बस।
there's no problem, it's okay. So this is the second option. If you cannot remove yourself as a doer of a task, then you remove yourself from the outcome of the task. You do the task, you presume you are doer, but you are not expecting anything out of it. Do it without any expectations, without any hope of any outcome. Outcome will definitely come, because every task has its outcome, every action has its reaction. Similarly, every task we do will have an outcome, but we should not have any expectations there. So this is the second very important element, which is important to remove the stress completely, fundamentally. As soon as you remove this, we will have no stress at all. That is the second option given to us. Then we have the third option. Third option is what we call sambhav. Sam and bhav. Sam means balanced, and bhav means the sentiments, the feelings, the existence which comes with you, the existence which comes with bhav, that is bhav. So if you have some bhav with you, then you will have no problem. If you are doing a task, you are also expecting result, but whatever the result come, you should accept it as given. You should not distinguish between what we call from our side good or bad, because Paramatma, the Almighty, He doesn't do anything good or bad. For Him it is just done. That's it. We are the one who apply adjectives. We say this is good and we say this is bad, and the thing which I consider good, somebody else may consider bad. That is his analysis. So the good and bad are relative. They are relative to the individual. They are relative to the experience you had in the past. They are relative to the nature of your existence. Therefore, these adjectives are applied by us. They are not done by the Samasti. They are not by the Almighty. For the Almighty, the night and the day, they both exist, and they are both important for the existence. We decide to say that night is not good and day is not good, or day is good or night is not good. So this is our decision. Both the poverty and prosperity, both are important for the existence. Because without poverty, you cannot define prosperity. Without prosperity, you cannot even define poverty. And from the point of view of the Almighty, that is not material. That is an existential truth. But we give adjective to them. This is good, this is not good, this should be done, this should not be done. That analysis is our own analysis. And that is where, if we can remove this discriminatory feeling that this is good and this is bad, then I think we can be completely stress-free. So these are the three layers, in a way, starting from removal of karta, they're completely removing the responsibility of the doer, कि आप करता ही नहीं है. अगर उस स्टेज पे आप पहुंच जाएं, entire stress will go away. If you cannot do that, then you come to the second layer, that you do the job, but you do not have any expectation out of it. Whatever result comes, you accept it. The third is, you do not discriminate between the results. Whatever results has come, you accept it as given, whether you consider it good or bad. In fact, you should not give an adjective to it. You should give it as an outcome, or the desire of the Almighty. And that is why you will find the older generation in India often saying कि ये तो विधि का विधान है, ये परमात्मा की इच्छा है. Now what is that विधि का विधान? Vidhi does not do anything. We do everything and we get the result of what we do. But we attribute it to Vidhi ka Vidhan because that removes our stress. That takes us out. All our responsibilities are gone. We are free. जो परमात्मा ने किया हमने accept कर लिया. We become like a dry leaf which is blown away from the wind by the wind here and there, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't have any resistance. Or we flow with the current like a person is swimming in the river with the current. So he doesn't have to do any, hard work to swim. He just swims with the flow of the current. So if we start accepting that, so that is the third part in our scriptures, that if you can accept the results of the samasti, the outcome which is given by the Almighty, the outcome which is given by the superior force, we accept it as given without attributing good or bad to it. I think that will relieve our stress completely. So these are the three fundamental ways to remove or to eliminate stress completely, and these are all big exercises. We will discuss these in greater detail at some other occasion, but today I wanted to touch them in briefly. But let me go into some of these writings which I have also taken from Bhagavad Gita. Now in the chapter 3 there are two verses, verse number 7 and 19. The verse number 7 says, जो पुरुष मन से इंद्रियों को वश में करके अनासक्त हुआ कर्मेंद्रियों से कर्मयोग का आचरण करता है वह श्रेष्ठ है. Now अनासक्त हुआ, that you are not getting attached to anything, you are unaffected. You are not unconcerned, you are unaffected. I think this we discussed last time in detail. There is a great difference between being unconcerned and indifferent and not affected. You are very much concerned, you are very much taking care of things, but you are not affected with the outcome. That is an asakti. Where asakti gives you stress. For example, it is my watch. If my watch is lost, it will give me stress. But a watch is lost, it will not give you stress. Somebody else's watch is lost, I don't get stressed. Because my is attached to that watch. As soon as you attach the my, there is attachment. There is no anasakti, there is asakti there. So you remove that my and you will have anasakti. So this is very important. As soon as you remove my from things, because nothing belongs to you here. That is what the first verse of Isavasya Upanishad says. That nothing belongs to you here. You have come here, use these things as if you are, you have been given. It's like a tenant has been given a place and he uses that, we use that place to the extent we need it. Isavasya Vedam Sarvam. So entire thing belongs to the Almighty, belongs to the Isa. It belongs to Him. हर चीज में उसका निवास है. It has just been given to you. So remove that my part from the things. My part from the things and individuals. Then you will not have that asakti. So this is what the verse number 7 of chapter 3 tells us in Bhagavad Gita. Of course, they talk much more here, but I'm just talking about in a limited way that how we can remove our stress. Then there is a verse number 19 in the same chapter, which says like this, इससे तू अनासक्त हुआ निरंतर कर्तव्य कर्म का अच्छी प्रकार आचरण कर, क्योंकि अनासक्त पुरुष कर्म करता हुआ परमात्मा को प्राप्त होता है. अनासक्त पुरुष कर्म करता हुआ किसी स्ट्रेस को प्राप्त नहीं होता, ये समझ लीजिए आप. दिस इज हाउ वी कैन इंटरप्रेट इट, दैट यू शुड नॉट गेट अटैच्ड टू एनीथिंग. As soon as you get attached, you will have stress sooner or later. So try to detach yourself. Think that nothing belongs to you in this world. It all belongs to the Almighty. We have come as tenant. We stay here. We use things which are needed for our existence, and so long as they are needed, we use them. After that, they are going to stay back. In any case, they stay back. It's only our mental thinking which makes us think that this belongs to me. Whether it is my bank balance or my house, they all stay back once we die, once we leave this theater. Nothing belongs to us. Like in a theater, you wear all kinds of clothes, if you have to play a role of Ram or Ravan, you wear all those clothes and all those, mukuts and everything you use. And once you are out of the theater, you leave them behind. Exactly the same thing here. So let us remove that asakti, let us remove that mera and my from this whole process, and you will have no stress at all. That will be, that is the verse number 19 from chapter 3. Then I want to go to Kartapan. There are 2 verses in chapter 18, the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is verse number 57 and 62. Verse number 57 says, इसलिए हे अर्जुन, तू सब कर्मों को मन से मेरे को अर्पण करके मेरे परायण हुआ समत्व बुद्धि रूप निष्काम कर्म योग का अवलंबन करके निरंतर मेरे में चित्त वाला हो. Now he has covered, Krishna has covered everything here. He has covered samatva buddhi, he has covered niskam karma yoga, he has covered mere mein parayan hua, that you remove your kartapan completely. All the 3 things are there which we talked. Removing the kartapan, doing the niskam karma, and having samatva buddhi. All the 3 are in this one single verse. That परमात्मा को परायण करके सब चीजें उसके परायण हो जाओ, जो ऐसे करवाता है करो. I think that will remove you from all the stress. That is the verse number 57. And then there is verse number 62. सब प्रकार से उस परमेश्वर के ही अनन्य शरण को प्राप्त हो, उस परमात्मा की कृपा से ही परम शांति को और सनातन परम धाम को प्राप्त होगा. Now, if we surrender ourselves to Him, then that's the only way to remove Kartapan. Kartapan will disappear only when we surrender to the Almighty. Now, that surrender is the most difficult part, because we always feel that we are the doer. Now, that part of existence has to be meditated upon. We have to meditate. I gave many examples that we create nothing here. We do nothing. We don't even decide on our birth, on our place of birth, on our parents, on our language, on what kind of body you will have, what kind of circumstances you will be born in. We decide on nothing. And we presume that we are the doer. We don't even decide on the essentials of life. The air is given, the water is given, the food is given by somebody else. The breathing process we do is by somebody else. What happening inside our body is happening because of somebody else's power. What are we? We are nothing. But we still presume that we are great guys. We are controlling this universe. And that is where the problem arises. And this whole philosophy comes from the Western thoughts. Because the Western thought start with matter. They don't start with the spirit. They start with the matter. They want to control the matter. They want to control the nature. They want to create air conditioning, or they want to create, how to control one or the other part of the nature. This whole process of controlling the nature gives us that feeling that I am controlling something. That is where the Western philosophy has played this role, giving us deep-rooted thinking that this is me, this is mine, and I can do something. I can control this universe. I can send aircraft to the moon and to Mars and God knows what, while we practically control nothing. We are just a small little puppet in the hands of the person who is playing those puppets. So this is where we have to understand this process. Once we get into these three modes, कर्तापन का जाना, निष्काम कर्म करना या आसक्ति का नहीं होना, and then संभाव का होना, one of the three, any one of the three will completely eliminate your stress for good. Whatever is convenient for you, whatever is comfortable for you. So when you get stressed next time, think why I'm getting this stress. You have to think it step by step. Why I got it? I got it because I thought that I'm the responsible person for doing it. Then you say, why I'm responsible? I'm not responsible. You have to go backwards and you will find that I'm not responsible. I'm only doing what has been told to do in this entire large universe where I'm not even like a small particle of a dust. And I should stop thinking that I'm the doer. But at the same time, you have to do your work. You have to perform your duties religiously, properly, with all your attention. कर्तापन छोड़ने का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप काम करना छोड़ दें, नहीं. जो काम आपको करना है, जिस कैपेसिटी में करना है, whatever capacity, whether as father, whether as son, whether as member of the society, whether as employee, whether in a particular position in society, whatever work you have to do it with complete dedication, but without getting the feeling that I'm the doer. And once you have that feeling that I'm not the doer, you will do things much better than what you have been doing in the past. So I think I will close this discussion here today. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be very happy to answer them.